What's up guys, James here, how are you doing? So this video is a response to a comment left by RockingMrE on my question for Stefan Molyneux. So first off, I'd just like to say I'm not connected to the internet at the moment, so I can't do as much research as I'd like to do right now, but I will leave some links down in the description box when it comes to uploading this video. So first off, I did mispronounce Stefan's name. It is Stefan, not Stephen, so that's their first legitimate criticism. RockingMrE's said that I didn't leave any evidence in that video, which is true. The reason I didn't leave any evidence on it is because I think it's irrelevant to the question which I actually asked. The question was more philosophical in nature, and I didn't want to get into a large debate about the topic because I am certainly no expert regarding climate change, and I know that there's lots of people who could easily out-debate me on the topic. So Mr. E links me to a website which is climatechangeskeptic.com, if I remember correctly. Like I said, I'm not connected to the internet right now, and he specifically asked me to have a look at a video which is about halfway down the page. Yep, I'll leave the link down to that below. The video is about an hour and a half long. It is a very clever video. It makes some very interesting points. Like I said, I don't want to be getting into a huge debate about whether or not global warming happens, because there are people who will easily out-debate me on that topic, but I have got a few things I'd like to say regarding that video. First off, the video doesn't really mention the fact that, yes, there have in the past been dramatic changes which have changed the Earth's climate considerably because of some huge positive feedback loops. For a start, the Earth's been through many different stages in its lifetime. Oxygen-producing bacteria had an absolutely gigantic effect on the Earth's climate, and that is something which was caused by life and effectively caused by a single species. There's also been ice ages which have been spurred on by a positive feedback loop which was caused by the albedo effect. Now, I think it would be very hard for anyone to deny that humans have had a dramatic effect on the Earth's landscape. Deforestation, for one, humans have had an absolutely massive influence on, and trees are one of the largest factors in regulating atmospheric CO2. There's also a few other very important things which I feel that the video either left out or didn't go into anywhere near enough detail in. For one, there's a severe lack of detail regarding the negative feedback loops to counteract the positive feedback loops. The video did go into a lot of detail about what scientists claim to be positive feedback loops in climate change are, but yeah, it just didn't really talk at all about any of the negative feedback loops which would counteract them. Also, it completely glossed over the albedo effect. Now, the albedo effect, I don't think, it doesn't make sense that it would have a very smooth effect like the other ones mentioned, because you're talking about something which will have a dramatic change with even a fraction of a degree difference. When you're talking about things like relative humidity of air or oceanic CO2 absorption, a fraction of a degree wouldn't make much difference in those cases. But with the albedo effect, you're talking about a state change. You're talking about something changing from a liquid to a solid, or vice versa, which can happen with only a fraction of a degree difference. And that makes it qualitatively different from the other effects which were mentioned. This is something where there will be a very, very real tipping point which will happen with it, which could potentially happen within a fraction of a degree, theoretically. But yeah, I mean, feel free to respond to those points. But like I said, I don't want to be getting into a huge debate about that topic. So yeah, feel free to respond to them, but realise that I'm more than likely not going to respond back. Mr. E also said that that my question was in and of itself an appeal to consequence, which is certainly partially true, but I don't feel that that necessarily invalidates the question itself. So, one of the most famous examples of an appeal to consequence is Pascal's wager, which basically states that no matter how small the possibility that God exists is, if it's greater than zero, then it's better to believe than to not believe and face an infinite punishment. And of course, there are lots of arguments against Pascal's wager, which I'm sure you're well aware of. But an answer I could give, which I think is equivalent to what I'm asking for from libertarians in this case, is that even if hell does exist, it's still inconceivable that an all-loving God would send people there simply for not believing in him when there's very, very little or no convincing evidence. So I don't think it's an unreasonable question to ask what the libertarian solutions are to climate change and what our reasons are to not have any fear. And there are other climate change issues such as other environmental damage caused by acid rain, deforestation, water pollution, etc. I don't think it's unreasonable to ask what the solutions are to these problems if they do turn out to be real threats. Now, I don't think the question I asked is necessarily unanswerable. You could, for example, make the arguments that intellectual property rights, taxes and tight regulations hinder the development of greener technology. You could also argue about how people voluntarily boycotting companies with bad track records for pollution could pressure them into changing their ways. I still have some serious reservations as to whether or not this will actually, that with libertarianism this will happen fast enough, or whether or not it will happen, or whether it will happen quicker with some form of intervention.